All right, so we are talking about the doorway, or use a pole, whatever you have, squat. And this is really just for people that are either doing CrossFit or powerlifting and finding that they're having a lot of difficulty easily sitting into a low squat where they're able to use their whole foot. So the whole foot is staying on the ground without falling over. So you're going to set up your squatting stance. We're continuing to work on pointing the toes ahead. That's not because that's where you need to be all the time or that that's where you squat the most or anything like that, but just because that gives us a really good starting position and allows us to create a little bit of torque through your feet. So you're able to create an arch a little bit better with your big toe pointing forward. From here, you're going to use the pole ahead of you to simply sit your hips back while allowing your knees to come slightly forward. You'll tap to the box and then come back up. So you're using the pole or your door frame only as much as you need. If you don't have access to either of those things for some reason, you can also use like the side of your bed or even like a doorknob or a dresser even. Literally just look around, hopefully you'll be able to find something. But that's step one, is to basically walk yourself down, look for kind of having knees come right about to the level of your toes, have your hips sat back, knees are tracking with your toes, and then you're going to try to use your legs as much as possible to push up. From a pelvic floor perspective, as you're coming down, you're going to want to expand the pelvic floor for most people. So as I come down, I'm taking a deep breath in and I'm allowing the pelvic floor to drop, to lower, almost like the feeling of like letting gas go a little bit, and especially as far as like doing Kegels or anything like that, this is the anti-Kegel moment. You do not want to be pulling through here at all, okay? So as much as possible, breathing in, and then tapping, and then coming back up. If for some reason this is terribly difficult, you could also go the other direction. You could take a seat, allow your weight to transfer back, especially if you're someone who struggles with being able to push fully through your heels. This may feel a lot easier. And then you're going to rock your nose over your toes. You can use this assistance still to come back up. So once you've kind of mastered this at a height that feels very doable, where you can really come down, breathing in, and then you can come back up without needing this pole, then you want to take one box, one step, whatever it is, find another object, but get to the point where you can do this pretty low. Because if you are competing in Olympic weightlifting, if you are looking for optimal mobility, if you want to play on the floor with your kids, we were all born, unless you had really terrible hips as a baby, we're all born with this like beautiful, just straight up and down squat, right? There's no reason we can't get back to that unless for some reason you have, an actual orthopedic anomaly going on. So for most people, the reason we don't get there is because we don't expose ourselves to a progressive stimulus. So once you've got the box a little bit lower, you're going to lower yourself down. Same idea. If you have to sit, sit. Okay? If you have to do the full rock to come back up, go ahead and do that. Otherwise, you're working towards being able to maintain that tension through the legs, a little bit of the relaxation of that pelvic floor, and then coming back up. And then once you get comfortable with this, you can start to experiment with taking your hands away, hovering in that position, and then coming up, right? If you are someone who is experiencing prolapse, you may have more left in this position, not actually relaxing your pelvic floor, but instead getting to your bottom position and trying to do a full cycle of contract relax. So you might have a full relaxation here and feel your prolapse, and then try to lift while zippering as you're coming up. And if that's really hard, to do as you move. Being in the bottom of the squat is also an okay time to practice that contract relax pattern. Alternatively, you could practice it here. You could practice it here. You could practice it here. And it might be easier to complete as you as you're higher in the squat. If you have prolapse. If that's not you, then likely you're in this other category where you can really get more out of doing the full relaxation in the bottom before you rise with your contraction. So try it out. Let's see how far we can get.